Al McFarland. Welcome to the conversation with Al McFarland. I'm glad to be here and glad to have you along as well. Well, the topic of the day here and everywhere else is what's happening in Minneapolis with the ICE presence and with the death of a citizen yesterday afternoon. I'm going to talk about that today, and I want to invite you, wherever you are, to join the conversation as well. Let somebody know that we're live on YouTube and on Facebook and LinkedIn, and we'd love to have you participate in the conversation. We're going to have Minnesota Attorney General, the celebrated Keith Ellison, joining us in about 10 minutes. And I watched him today on CNN talking to Wolf Blitzer and I think Pamela Brown. Great conversation. Go find it if you don't have it. And I want to hear you. I think everybody is in disbelief watching the videos. We're going to show the video, one of them, here in a few minutes. But let me start with the background, and I'll start with a story that's in the Inside News edition that's scheduled to run Monday. We actually print yesterday and do distribution starting today and tomorrow. But let's bring this story up. And I think this is an important story because it talks about the position of the mayor of Minneapolis, Jacob Frey. And the story begins with a photograph of one of our own photographers, photographer King Demetrius Pendleton, who was a victim of chemical irritants from the ICE officers yesterday or during the incident. So, it's just unbelievable. Hopefully he's okay. I've sent a note out asking him to join the program. And if he gets it, maybe he'll come on and tell his experience as well. And I want to say to anybody else that's listening, if you were there and if you have feelings that you want to express about what happened in the death of Miss Good, the citizen, we'd love to have your voice. Let me give you the background in the story from that's going to be in the upcoming edition of Inside News, and it's an Associated Press story. And it says that let's see, can you make it bigger for me to read? There we go, thank you. An Immigration and Customs Enforcement officer shot and killed a Minneapolis motorist on Wednesday during the Trump administration's latest immigration crackdown on a major American city, that city right here, Minneapolis. The shooting that federal officials claimed was an act of self-defense, but that city mayor Jacob Frey described as reckless and unnecessary. The shooting happened in a residential neighborhood in South Minneapolis, just a few blocks from one of the oldest immigrant markets in the area. It's called the Uptown or the Midtown Global Market. It's a very diverse and immigrant-rich community, and it's about a mile from where George Floyd was killed on Chicago Avenue and 38th Street in South Minneapolis as well. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, during her visit to Texas, described this incident as an act of domestic terrorism, quote unquote, carried out against ICE officers by a woman who attempted to run them over and rammed them with her vehicle. Now, I don't know which video she saw, but the half a dozen that I saw do not confirm that statement. I continue. The article, this is an article written by reporters Tim Sullivan and Giovanna Dell'Orto from the Associated Press here in Minneapolis. Other writers supported the story as well. This story is appearing in the upcoming edition of Inside News, which is scheduled for Monday's edition, but it's available online now in the issue ISSUU digital edition of Inside News. Check it out. So she said she called this a act of domestic terrorism and said that the driver attempted to run their officers over with their vehicle. An officer of ours, this is her saying, an officer of ours acted quickly and defensively, shot to protect himself and the people around him, close quote. But Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey blasted that characterization and the federal deployment of more than 2,000 officers as part of the immigration crackdown in the Twin Cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul. The mayor said they are not here to cause safety in the city. What they are doing is not to provide safety in America. What they are doing is causing chaos and distrust. And he called on federal agents to leave Minneapolis. He said they're ripping families apart. They're sowing chaos on our streets. And and in this case, quite literally killing people. He goes on to say they are already trying to spin this as an action of self-defense. Having seen the video myself, I want to tell everybody directly, this is BS, quoting the mayor. I'm Al McFarland. This is a special edition of The Conversation with Al McFarland. We'll come back to this article in a few minutes. And to my producer, I'm expecting to be joined in a moment or two by Keith Ellison, Minnesota's Attorney General. He was on the air this morning talking about this. And if you are anywhere in the world and tuned into this conversation, we'd love to have your voice as well. Let's take a minute and watch the video. It's about 1 minute. Go ahead and play the video.
Now at 11, outrage growing across the country after an ICE agent shot and killed a woman in Minneapolis today. The 37-year-old victim has been identified as Renee Nicole Good, a U.S. citizen. Tonight, we're seeing new video of witnesses pleading with federal agents to let them check on the woman after the shooting.
Go check a pulse.
No, back up, now.
I'm a physician.
Hey, listen, I understand. We got EMS coming, and I get it. Just give us a second. We have medics on scene. We have our own medics.
Where are they? Where?
Okay,
How
so
can I relax? You just killed my neighbor. You caught butter in the face.
ICE agents on the scene said they already had called a medical team. We're also hearing from Minneapolis's mayor, who had strong words for those federal agents.
To ICE, get the out of Minneapolis. We do not want you here.
Tonight, thousands of people gathered at the scene of the deadly shooting to remember the victim and to protest against ICE. The shooting happened about a mile from where George Floyd was killed by police in 2020.
So there we go. That's one of the stories. And again, I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts? What do you like and share? Let people know we're having this conversation. Again, we're waiting for Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison. And why is that important? He's the chief law enforcement officer for the state of Minnesota, but even more importantly, he successfully led the prosecution of Derek Chauvin, who was found guilty of murder in the death of George Floyd in that same neighborhood, 5 years ago now, 5.5 years ago. And so there, I'm wondering, are parallels. This is another case, maybe the third or fourth case in Minnesota recently that involved an officer killing a civilian. Remember Philando Castile, who was killed by an officer in a suburban St. Paul community. Then remember Dante Wright, killed by an officer in, I think, Brooklyn Center or Brooklyn Park, Minnesota. She actually killed him. She said she thought her taser was her service revolver, and when she tried to pull him out of a vehicle, he seemed to be lurching away or pulling away, causing her to shoot, thinking, she said, she was tasing him, but killing him with lethal gunfire. And so this is not new. And I'm wondering, also there's a case that's kind of different, kind of alike, of Christine Diamond, I believe that was her name, who was also killed by an officer in South Minneapolis, an officer responding to a call that maybe someone was under distress in an alley. When she left out of her house to the alley to tell the officers that she had made the call, I think they didn't recognize who she was or why, and one of the officers killed her. He's in prison now, or gone to prison. He may be out now, I'm not sure. But incidences where officers have used lethal force on citizens, and we're wondering what this situation will bring with this being a federal officer. What's the complication? What are the lines between federal accountability and state accountability? Those are the questions I'll be asking Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison when he joins us momentarily. In the meantime, I'm interested in your concerns, your point of view, your take on what's going on. How do you feel? How are you feeling? And if you want to weigh in and just share your thoughts, even condolences for the family, for the people in the community that were impacted by the trauma and that are being impacted as we speak by the trauma of going through this again here in Minneapolis, I want to know what you think and what your feelings are. I'd love to have you join the conversation. And if you want to join the conversation, just send us a note in the comment section. We'll send you a link. In fact, we can post the link in the crawl. Jared, maybe you could post the link in the crawl. If you see this on your screen and want to join the conversation, we welcome you. Jared will see you and bring you into the conversation to have you on the conversation. So, getting notes here from Same Body SJ7C saying ICE murdered that woman. That's one comment, and I think people feel that way. Somebody say more. If you want to join the conversation, come on and talk to me and talk to our audience about it. And here's a different point of view. By the track Homestead, she, her won't be ramming any more officers. I think it's a callous remark. It's an insensitive remark, but you have a right to make that remark. And I respect you and your feelings, your press. Here, David Jeffries saying something different. David, thank you for dropping in. And David, if you want to be live with me, we're going to join the link here. David says, I'm feeling like no one will be held accountable for this wickedness. And I think a lot of people are feeling that way, but I want to hear your voice and see you here talking about that. So David, if you get a chance, if you get this link, come on the channel and tell me your feelings, your thoughts. Love to hear that. In the meantime, again, thank you for those who have posted a point of view or a comment, and we encourage others to do the same. No matter where you fall on this issue, we think your voice is important. So here at the crawl, go to StreamYard.com. There's a link, and you can join the show. I'd love to have your voice in. Again, we're waiting for Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison, and he was on CNN this morning. I've got a story that I pulled together from his presentation. I'll share that with you momentarily as well. But in the meantime, what I want to do is give you the latest story from the Associated Press. I just pulled it up from our Associated Press news feed, and it's a story that says that this story, January 8th, 1257, so that's today, about half an hour ago. It's current copyright story, and from who's the author of the story? Let me see if it's here. Yeah, doesn't give an author, so it's AP Staffing, but the headline says, what to know about the fatal shooting of a woman by an ICE officer in Minneapolis. And again, it's about a 700-word story. I'm going to try to make sure that I can see if Keith joins us, that I can pivot quickly to get him on the live stream. And if any of you want to join the conversation, I'm able to monitor that too while I do this story. So this is a piece from Associated Press. Again, the headline is what to know about the fatal shooting of a woman by an ICE officer in Minneapolis. The story says protesters confronted federal officers Thursday in Minneapolis the day after a woman was fatally shot by an immigration and customs enforcement officer. The demonstrations came amid heightened tensions after President Donald Trump's administration dispatched 2,000 officers and agents to Minnesota for its latest immigration crackdown. The killing of 37-year-old Renee Nicole Good, on Wednesday set off a clash between federal and state officials over whether the shooting appeared justified and whether a Minnesota law enforcement agency had a jurisdiction to investigate. Here's what's known about the shooting, how it unfolded. A woman was shot in her car in a residential neighborhood south of downtown Minneapolis, about a mile from where police killed George Floyd in 2020. Videos taken by bystanders and posted to social media show an officer approaching an SUV, stopped in the middle of the road, demanding the driver open the door and grabbing the handle. The Honda Pilot begins to pull forward, and a different ICE officer standing in front of the vehicle pulls his weapon and immediately fires at least 2 shots into the vehicle at close range, jumping back as the vehicle moves toward him. It is not clear from the videos if the vehicle makes contact with the officer. The SUV then speeds into 2 parked cars on a curb nearby before coming to a stop. Witnesses can be heard shouting in shock. Let me just do a quick check here to see if there's anybody else in the waiting room here, and then I'll continue this piece, an article from Associated Press published about an hour or less than an hour ago. So, all right, so I'm standing by for people that want to join the conversation. I'm going to continue. I'm Al McFarland. This is The Conversation with Al McFarland. We're doing a special report about the shooting by an ICE agent of a Minneapolis woman, a citizen, killed after a confrontation with ICE yesterday. So the article says the victim was a wife and a mom. Good died of gunshot wounds to the head. She described herself on social media as a poet and writer, a wife and a mom from Colorado, and calls and messages to her family have not been immediately returned, the article says. Public records show Good had recently lived in Kansas City, Missouri, where she and another woman with the same home address had started a business last year called Be Good Handiwork. In a video posted from the scene on social media, a woman who described Good as her wife is seen sitting near the vehicle and sobbing. She said the couple had only recently arrived in Minnesota and they have a 6-year-old child. Her killing is at least the 5th death as a result from aggressive U.S. immigration crackdown the Trump administration launched last year. Noem says the officer was following training. Homeland Security Secretary Christian Noem said Thursday in New York that there would be a federal investigation into the shooting, adding that she believes the officer followed his training and the shooting was justified. She again called the woman's actions domestic terrorism. This vehicle was used to hit this officer, Noem said. It was used as a weapon, and the officer feels as though his life was in jeopardy. The ICE officer has not been publicly identified. Noem said he was taken to hospital after being hit by the vehicle and has since been discharged. Minneapolis Police Chief Brian O'Hara gave no indication that the driver was trying to harm anyone when he described the shooting to reporters Wednesday. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey called Noem's description of the events garbage, saying he had watched videos of the shooting that showed it wasn't self-defense and was avoidable. I'm Al McFarland. This is The Conversation with Al McFarland. We're talking about the shooting yesterday of a young woman, a mother, Christy, not Christy, but her name was Good. Get her full name properly so that we, Renee Nicole Good, killed yesterday in South Minneapolis. If you want to be in this conversation, we want you in it with us. I'm going to share more of this article in a few moments, but I wanted to stop and check to see if we're waiting on the Minnesota Attorney General, Keith Ellison, to join us. And when he's here, we want to bring him on. We also have put in our screen here a QR code. And if you want to get in the conversation, just scan it. That'll give you the link and it'll bring you in. We'd love to have you involved in this conversation, your voice, no matter where you are. In fact, and if you don't want to be in the conversation, just shout us out. Let us know in the comment section where you're watching from and what you think, about the events going on. What does it mean for not only this community and this family, but our country and the world? And this is happening at a time when just so much is going on. It's almost overwhelming because we were all focused on what happened in Venezuela. The Trump administration's military action, they're calling it a justice action, that led to the extraction of the president of Venezuela and his wife, and they're being brought to New York to face charges of trafficking. But people are questioning the legality, the authority, and the true intent. Is it about the saving of a community, of a culture, of a country from its despot leader, or is it about figuring out how to get oil resources extracted and profits flowing again to American and other Western businesses? And if history is any guideline here, at the expense of the people of Venezuela. So, interested in your comments on that as well. I'm Al McFarland. This is The Conversation with Al McFarland. We're live streaming. We'll be doing the same tomorrow as well. I think this just takes all of us to weigh in and to have conversations. One of the things I learned was that my grandson's school had children that go to different communities to do engagement, civic engagement service. And yesterday, some of the students were in, these are usually high school students, in South Minneapolis, in the perimeter, in the arena, the area that was locked down because of the ICE activity. So the school wisely sent its security people to the arena and got those students out in a way that was safe. But what does that mean for an entire city to be disrupted? Well, one of the consequences is, I think the city of Minneapolis has decided that there will be no school today or tomorrow. And Jared, if you get a chance to, maybe you can go to either search or internet, and there should be a story about the schools being shut down and the some scuffles that took place actually in Roosevelt High School yesterday, because ICE was present either at the school or in the school, and there was an interaction, again, that was unfortunate. So what do we tell our children when they see masked men and women roll up like, I don't know how you want to describe it, maybe put them on the screen if you got it, so, and if you make that big, I'll read that. Let's see. Just make it as large as you can so I can see it and our viewers can see it too. I'll make it large on my screen. Okay, and scroll to the top. Yeah, Minneapolis Public Schools. So let's see the pictures first. Look at the picture and the headline there. School cancel classes after Border Patrol clash disrupts dismissal at Roosevelt. So this photograph is U.S. Border Patrol agents detaining a person on the ground near Roosevelt High School during dismissal time yesterday. That picture is from Karen Ussel at Minnesota Public Radio News. Scroll down, let's read the story, and I'll share this story. And I think this is a NPR story as well. Minneapolis Public Schools on Wednesday canceled classes district-wide for the remainder of the week due to safety concerns following the killing of a woman Wednesday by an ICE agent. The district said it was acting out of an abundance of caution. And the move came after officials at Roosevelt High School said armed U.S. Border Patrol officers came on school property during dismissal Wednesday and began tackling people, handcuffed 2 staff members, and released chemical weapons on bystanders. So that's frightening. That's frightening if our children at risk. So it lists a number of other stories. I'll go on reading. It says the guy, I'm telling him, like, please step off the school grounds. And this dude comes up and bumps into me and tells me that I pushed him. And he's trying to push me, and he knocked me down. This is said. This is according to a school official who spoke to NPR News on condition of anonymity. They don't care. They're just animals, the official added. I've never seen people behave like this. And the next picture says Greg Bovino, a U.S. Border Patrol commander, is arguing here with protesters near Roosevelt High School during dismissal time on Wednesday. Again, a photograph by Kareem Youssel from NPR News. A school leader said that armed officers with apparent Border Patrol insignia on their uniforms arrived at a street near the school in several SUV vehicles during dismissal on Wednesday afternoon. They broke out the window of a vehicle. There's a car that got hit. I don't know how it got hit. They broke out the window, the school official said. Then different neighborhood people, neighborhood watch people, everybody, people, the staff in the school came out. And then they started coming on property of the school and pushing people and tackling people and shooting pepper spray and pepper balls. And they handcuffed 2 of our employees. Video shared with NPR shows masked officers with apparent Border Patrol insignia on their uniform, dragging a person, scroll down some more for me, dragging a person on a sidewalk outside of the school and tussling with another person as bystanders blow whistles and shout. The school officials say some high school students were involved in altercations with officers, many sheltered in the nearby library. Kate Winkle, who lives in the neighborhood near Roosevelt, said she saw the Border Patrol agents on her drive home from work and witnessed agents pull a person into one of their vehicles. In a video shared with NPR News, a Border Patrol officer is shown pushing 47-year-old Winkle to the ground after telling her to get out of the street. Well, I'll stop with that, but that is more discouraging information, and that's from Minnesota Public Radio News. Check them out. It's a great resource. I'm Al McFarland. This is The Conversation with Al McFarland. We're talking about the incidents unfolding here. And what you can do right now is share this show with your networks. Let people know we're having the conversation, and we want to invite you into the conversation as well. A couple of people have posted an angry Facebook meme. Lloyd T. Lockett, Pastor Lloyd T. Lockett, thank you for letting your voice come up through there. And I'm looking over in the chat here, and Liv Rankin, who says she's 3 miles away from the incident, confirmed that they broke a car window and they were pepper spraying students. That's Liv, and I believe Liv is my niece. Lily, if that's you, jump on the line and join the conversation. If it's not you, that's fine. Thank you for participating and sharing your information. I'll just continue showing that. And another listener right now is weighing in. Pippi, thank you for your comment. You simply said this is outrageous, and I wholeheartedly agree with you. And so, wherever you are, if you're listening, share, like and share this program and join the conversation. Again, we're waiting for Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison. Hopefully he'll be able to join us. And, Jared, I'm not sure if I know he was traveling, he might try to join us by telephone. And if there's a way for him to join by telephone, let's figure that out, or maybe communicate to him to see if he can use his telephone to get on the video live here as well. Jojo is saying that protesters should stop provoking the agents. So Jojo, thank you for the comment. Say more. And if you want to jump on and just give your point of view, your analysis, I'd welcome that. I appreciate your point of view. And I think another viewer had a similar sentiment. He referred to the driver, I'm presuming, as a troublemaker. Pippi, thank you. She says she just found this channel. She liked and subscribed, and she had no idea of what was happening at the school yesterday. If you are like Pippi and you're just coming across this, go to the channel on YouTube, like and subscribe. We want you to support this kind of conversation. It's important, it's critical. And if you know somebody that was either on the scene or it's been impacted by the ICE raids, love to have their testimony on this channel as well. So if you know someone that ought to be talking to us here, let them know that they can get on the conversation. Right now, we've got, I think, 19 or so people live on the stream, and we'd invite all of them or any of them to come into the program and share their views. I'm Alan McFarland. This is The Conversation with Alan McFarland, and we are expecting to be joined by Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison momentarily. When that happens, we'll get his take on where we are in a sense of what the legal parameters are, how our government can protect and serve the citizens of Minnesota, and whether that's going to be at odds with the strategies and practices of the federal government. And so I'm going to go back to the Associated Press article here. And again, the article is something that was published at 12:57. So, about a half an hour ago, at the top of the hour. It's from Associated Press. The article is entitled "What to Know About the Fatal Shooting of a Woman by an ICE Officer in Minneapolis." I've shared you the first part of the story already. I'll continue. The next subtitle in the story says, "Federal and State Leaders Dispute Jurisdiction to Investigate." That's what I was just talking about. So it says Dale Evans, the head of the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, said Thursday that federal prosecutors have barred the state agency from jointly investigating the shooting alongside the FBI. He said state investigators were being denied access to evidence, witness interviews, and other case materials. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz demanded that the state investigators be given a role, telling reporters that residents would otherwise have a hard time accepting the findings of federal law enforcement. This is quote, "And I say that only because people in positions of power have already passed judgment, from the president to the vice president to Kristi Noem." That is what Governor Tim Walz said. Noem denied that Minnesota authorities were being shut out. She said they don't have any jurisdiction in this investigation. The article goes on with another subtitle that says, "Protests met with pepper spray tear gas." Dozens of protesters Thursday morning outside a Minneapolis federal building being used as a base for immigration crackdown. Border Patrol officers fired tear gas and doused demonstrators with pepper spray to push them back from the gate. Area schools were closed as a safety precaution, and a vigil Wednesday night for the victims drew hundreds of people, some say thousands. A march through the city concluded without violence. Protests were also planned across the U.S. and cities, including New York, New Orleans, and Seattle. That is a story from the Associated Press, posted about an hour ago. The story entitled, "What Officers Know About the Fatal Shooting of a Woman by an ICE Officer in Minneapolis." I'm Alan McFarland. This is The Conversation with Alan McFarland, and we want to know what you think about this. Now, I told you that we did I listened to the interview with, let's see, did I do this already? I'm trying to see, with Keith Ellison on CNN. And I transcribed it and put together a draft of a story. It's not published yet, but I'll share that story with you now. Let me pull it up. In the meantime, if you want to join the conversation, we want you on the conversation. Haven't heard yet from the Attorney General. Maybe send another note to Brian, his legislative guy, to see if we're going to get him, if you would, Jarrett. So you did already. Okay, so Jarrett is my producer working to get the Attorney General on board, but he had said he'd be here, but we'll see what happens with that. But, I mentioned that he was on CNN this morning, and I'm going to pull up the story that I've put together based on his interview on CNN this morning. Let me pull it up here. And again, this is a draft, first draft. We've not published it yet, but I'll share it with you. Um, okay, so the article in its draft form reads, appearing on national television Thursday morning, Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison delivered a pointed message about accountability, democracy, and the rule of law, themes that have defined much of his public career. Interviewed on CNN by Wolf Blitzer and Pamela Brown, Ellison spoke candidly about what he sees as a critical moment for the nation, warning that public trust erodes when power appears to operate above the law. Quote, the rule of law has to mean something in this country, Ellison said. Nobody is above the law. And when we start sending signals that certain people or certain institutions don't have to follow the same rules as everyone else, that undermines public trust in our democracy. He said accountability is not partisan. Throughout the interview, Ellison pushed back against claims that ongoing investigations into political figures are driven by partisan motives. He framed accountability not as a political weapon, but as foundational democratic obligation. Accountability is not partisan, he said. The law applies to everyone, regardless of party, power, or position. And when there's credible evidence of wrongdoing, it has to be examined. That's not politics, that's justice. He said that for communities of color and working class Minnesotans, that distinction is not academic. Ellison has long argued that unequal application of the law, whether it's in policing or housing or corporate accountability, fuels cynicism and disengagement. And so, he is a former lawmaker, and as a former member of Congress, Ellison acknowledged concern about the strain political attacks place on democratic institutions. He cautioned against rhetoric that undermines courts, law enforcement, and the idea of objective truth itself. He said when leaders attack law enforcement, attack judges, or attack the idea that facts matter, it creates a dangerous environment. At the same time, he expressed confidence in the resilience of our democracy and democratic systems if people choose to defend them. He said, our institutions are resilient if people of good faith stand up and do their jobs. He also said, that democracy is not self-executing. Perhaps the most striking moment of the interview when Ellison addressed Americans watching this political turmoil with growing fatigue. He said, the system works when we insist that it works. Democracy is not self-executing. It requires courage, integrity, and a willingness to follow the law, even when it's inconvenient or politically uncomfortable. For Ellison, civic engagement remains an antidote to despair. Rather than retreating, he urges Americans to commit to shared values, to justice, fairness, and accountability. And he says, this country has faced serious challenges before. Progress has never been easy, but has always been worth it. The answer isn't to give up, it's to recommit. So his CNN appearance kind of places another Minnesota leader on a national stage at a time when debates over democracy and power and accountability continue to dominate public life. And for many of the Inside News readers, his message echoes longstanding calls from Black communities for equal justice under the law, not just in words, but in practice. He concluded the interview with a clear message that the future of democracy depends not on who holds power, but whether the law is applied fairly and whether the public demands nothing less. That's an article that will be published in Inside News online today at insidenews.com and in our paper next week. It's a synopsis taken from the interview that Keith Ellison did on CNN this morning. I'm Al McFarland. This is The Conversation with Al McFarland, and we're talking about the incidents here in Minneapolis. If you want to weigh in, we want to hear your voice. I'd love to have your comments. I'm going to check the comment stream here now. And Blake Fowler made a comment. I'm not going to show it, but disparaging Keith Ellison, basically calling Keith Ellison a terrorist. It's terrible. again, you've got your right to say, I'm not going to share that comment. And here's another person on the other side of the street from where I am, it seems. And this person says, notice how they protest for her death, but do they protest when law enforcement is killed? So, yeah, how do you think? How do you feel about that? Soul Still Burns, thank you for your comment. Love to know. If you want to say more, if you want to come on and share your feelings, we'd love to hear you describe where you live with that thought, that idea. And some other comments in the section here that I won't put on screen, but someone ties this to quote unquote Somalian scammers, and someone anyway, there's more. But anyway, you know what? We'd love to have your point of view. Love to have your point of view, and we'd love to have you subscribe to the channel and weigh in. We're going to talk about this again tomorrow. So it's 1:42 now. I think I'm going to close this session at this moment. But I thank you who listen. I want you to share and like and subscribe to this channel and be part of the conversation. We'll do this again tomorrow. And I know that tomorrow I have the director of the Minneapolis Urban League, the Urban League of the Twin Cities, coming on to talk about this. And there'll be other people as well. If you'd like to be part of the conversation, we'd love to have you on as well. We have reached out to some city council members and others. We hope we'll get them on board for this conversation. I'm Alan McFarland. We'll see you next time. Take care. And Jared, if you're there, you can wind us out now. Thank you, Pippi, for your comment. Big Cheese, thank you. Soul Still Burn. And we'll, Jared, if you're at the wheel, you can wrap this program up and we'll come back to it tomorrow. Again, thank you.